Now it was my time to do it. Sorry, Facebook, you're going to hear it all again. I was muted over here on YouTube. Um, Anyways, as I was saying, normal thing. Please don't be judgmental. Um, be mindful of others. Be respectful. Um, yeah, just don't harass people. They're here to get help or to help a friend or family member. They may not be the alcoholic, so uh, being mindful and not judgmental in here is a key for this spot on my channel. I do put in the description the page number, what we're reading, and what book. So if you're confused, it should be in the description down below. If you're new here or just have been here and you're not wanting to chat, I completely understand. That is normal. But just hit the like button and subscribe. It does help me know that I am helping people out with doing these meetings. But yeah, anyways, I'm Sandra and I'm an alcoholic. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So, we are, give me just a second. Um, Alright, anyways. Let me get the. So this is the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions book. You can find the steps in the front of the book, as well as the traditions. However, I just read or recite the 12 steps. 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5. Good morning, Mandy. Good morning, Louie. I did a whole spiel muted because I didn't have nobody here to say 111. Welcome, Mandy. 5. I admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defective characters. 7. Humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. 9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10. Continued to take personal inventory and when wrong, promptly admit it. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. We are currently reading the Big Book, and we are on page 78. I'm going to start in 9 cases. So the first paragraph from the top of the page. And we're reading Into Action. In 9 cases out of 10, the unexpected happens. Sometimes the man we are calling upon admits his own faults. So feuds of years standing melt away in an hour. Rarely do we fail to make satisfactory progress. Our former enemies sometimes praise what we are doing and wish us well. Occasionally they will offer assistance. It should no matter what, however, if someone does throw us out of the office, we have made our demonstration, done our part. It's water over the dam. Most alcoholics owe money. We do not dodge our creditors. Telling them what we are trying to do, we make no bones about our drinking. They usually know it anyway, whether we ask or whether we think so or not. Nor are we afraid of disclosing our alcoholism on the theory it may cause financial harm. Approached in this way, the most ruthless creditor will sometimes surprise us. Arranging the best deal we let these people know we are sorry. Our drinking has made us slow to pay, but most must lose our fear of creditors no matter how far we have to go. For we are liable to drink if we are afraid to face them. Perhaps we committed a criminal offense, which might land us in jail if it were known to the authorities. We may be short in our accounts and unable to make good. We have already admitted this in confidence to another person, but we are sure we would be imprisoned or lose our job if it were known. Maybe it's only a petty offense such as padding the expense account. Most of us have done that sort of thing. Maybe we are divorced and have remarried but haven't kept up the alimony to number one. She is indigent about it and has a warrant out for our arrest. That's a common form of trouble too. Although these reputations take in inimitable forms, there are some general principles which we find guiding. Reminding ourselves that we have decided to go to any length to find a spiritual experience. We ask that we be given strength and direction to do the right thing, no matter what the personal consequence may be. We may lose our position or reputation or face jail, but we are willing, we have to be. We must not shrink at anything. Usually, however, other people are involved. Therefore, we are not to be the hasty and foolish martyr who would needlessly sacrifice others to save himself from the alcoholic pit. A man we know had remarried because of resentment and drinking. He had not paid alimony to his first wife. She was furious. She went to court and got an order for his arrest. He had commenced our way to life, had secured a position and was getting his head above water. Would have been impressive heroics if he had walked up to the judge and said, "Here I am." We thought he ought to be willing to do that if necessary, but if he were in jail, he could provide nothing for either family. We suggested he write his first wife, admitting his fault and asking forgiveness. He did, and also sent a small amount of money. He told her what he would try to do in the future. He said he was perfectly willing to go to jail if she insisted. Of course she did not, and the whole situation has long since been adjusted. Before taking drastic action which might implicate others, people we secure their consent. If we have obtained permission, have consulted with others, asked God to help, and the drastic step is indicated, we must not shrink. This brings to mind a story about one of our friends. While drinking, we accepted a sum of money from a bitterly hated business rival, giving him no receipt for it. He subsequently denied having received the money and used the incident as a basis for discrediting the man. He thus used his own wrongdoing as a means of destroying the reputation of another. In fact, his rival was ruined. Will you quit? We felt that he had done a wrong he could not possibly make right. If he opened that old affair, he was afraid it would destroy the reputation of his partner, disgrace has disgrace his family, and take away his means of livelihood. What right had he to involve those dependents upon him? How could he possibly make a public statement exonerating his rival? After consulting with his wife and partner, he came to the conclusion that it was better to take those risks than to stand before his creditor guilty of such ruinous slander. He saw that he had to overcome or place the outcome in God's hands, or he would soon start drinking again. Can you please lay down now? Lay down. Get up there and lay down. Down there. Lay down, not on the laptop. Alright, he saw that he had to place the outcome in God's hands, or he would soon start drinking again, and all would be lost anyhow. He attended church for the first time in many years. After the sermon, he quietly got up and made an explanation. His action met widespread approval, and today he is one of the most trusted citizens of his town. This all happened years ago. The chances are that we have domestic troubles. Perhaps we are mixed up with women in a fashion we would care to have or wouldn't care to have been advertised, we doubt it. In this respect, alcoholics are fundamentally much worse than other people. But drinking does complicate sex relations in the home. After a few years with an alcoholic, a wife gets worn out. It's men and women, it's either or. Alcohol does not have limits on who it affects. But drinking does complicate sex relations in the home. After a few years with an alcoholic, a wife gets worn out, resentful and uncommunicative. How could she be anything else? The husband begins to feel lonely, sorry for himself. He commences to look around in the nightclub or their equivalent for something besides liquor. Perhaps he is having a secret and exciting affair with the girl who understands. In fairness, we must say that she may understand, but what are we going to do about a thing like that? A man so involved often feels very remorseful at times, especially if he is married to a loyal and courageous girl who has literally gone through hell for him. What's wrong? Holy moly. Whatever the situation, we usually have to do something about it. If we are sure our wife does not know, should we tell her? Not always, we think. If she knows in a general way that we have been wild, should we tell her in detail? Undoubtedly, we should admit our fault. She may insist on knowing all the particulars. She will want to know who the woman is and where she is. We feel we ought to say to her that we have no right to involve another person. We are sorry for what we have done, and, God willing, it shall not be repeated. More than that we cannot do. We have no right to go further. Though there may be injustifiable expectations, and though we wish to lay down no rule of any sort, we have often found this the best course to take. Sorry about the dog's nails. Our design for living is not a one-way street. It is as good for the wife as for the husband. If we can regret or if we can forget, so can she. It is better, however, that one does not needlessly name a person upon whom she can vent jealously. Perhaps there are some cases where the utmost frankness is demanded. No outsider can appraise such an intimate situation. It may be that both will decide that the way of God sense and loving kindness is to let bygones be bygones. Each might pray about it, having the other one's happiness utmost in mind. Keep it always in sight that we are dealing with that most terrible human emotion, jealousy. Good generalship may decide that the problem be attacked on the flank rather than risk of face-to-face combat. If we have no such complications, there is plenty we should do at home. Excuse me. No, go lay down. Sometimes we hear an alcoholic say that the only thing he needs to do is to keep sober. Certainly he must keep sober, for there will be no home if he doesn't. But he is yet a long way from making good to the wife or parents whom for years he has so shockingly treated. Passing all understanding is the patience mothers and wives have had with alcoholics. Had this not been so, many of us would have no homes kept today, would perhaps be dead. Will you lay down? Now. Lay down. Right now. Go up there and lay down. Thank you. The tornado or the alcoholic is like a tornado roaring his way through the lives of others. Hearts are broken, sweet relationships are dead, affections have been uprooted. Just a second, guys. There we go. Hearts are broken, sweet relationships are dead, affections have been uprooted, selfish and inconsiderate habits have kept the home in turmoil. We feel a man is unthinking when he says that sobriety is enough. He is like a farmer who came up out of his cyclone cellar to find his home ruined. To his wife he remarked, "Don't see anything the matter here. Ma, ain't it grand the wind stopped blowing." Yes, there is a long period of reconstruction ahead. We must take the lead, a remorseful mumbling that we are sorry won't fill the bill at all. We ought to sit down with the family and frankly analyze the past as we now see it, being very careful not to criticize them. Their defects may be glaring, but the chances are that our own actions are partly responsible. So we can clean house with the family, asking each morning in meditation that our Creator show us the way of patience, tolerance, kindness, and love. The spiritual life is not a theory. We have to live it unless one's family expenses or expresses a desire to live upon spiritual principle. We think we ought not to urge them. We should not talk insistently, can't pronounce that word, to them about spiritual matters. They will change in time. Our behavior will convince them more than our words. Our we must remember that 10 or 20 years of drunkenness would make a skeptic out of anyone. There may be some wrongs we can never fully right. We don't worry about them if we can honestly say to ourselves that we should right them if we could. The spiritual life is not a theory. We have to live it. Unless one's family express a desire to live upon spiritual principle, we think we ought not to urge them. We should not talk incessantly to them about spiritual matters. They will change in time. Our behavior will convince them more than our words. We must remember that 10 or 20 years of drunkenness would make a skeptic of anyone. There may be some wrongs we can never fully right. We don't worry about them if we can honestly say to ourselves that we would right them in if we could. Now I know where I was. Some people cannot be seen. We send them an honest letter, and there may be a valid reason for postponement in some cases, but we don't delay if it can be avoided. We should be sensible, tactful, considerate, and humble without being servile or scraping. As God's people, we stand on our feet. We don't crawl before anyone. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being they are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. This thought brings us to step 10, which suggests we continue to take personal inventory and continue to set right any new mistake as we go along. We vigorously commence this way of living as we cleaned up the past. We have entered the world of the spirit. I think I'm gonna stop there, guys. Our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. This is not an overnight matter. It should continue for our lifetime. Continue to watch for selflessness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. When these crop up, we ask God at once to remove them. We discuss them with someone immediately and make amends quickly if we have harmed anyone. Then we resolutely turn our thoughts to someone we can help. Love and tolerance of others is our code. I don't have very much to go. I'm going to just try to read the rest. And we have ceased fighting anything or anyone, even alcohol, for by this time sanity will have returned. We will seldom be interested in liquor. If tempted, we recoil from it as for a hot flame. We react sanely and normally, and we will find that this has happened automatically. We will see that our new attitude towards liquor has been given us without any thought or effort on our part. It just comes. That is the miracle of it. We are not fighting it, neither are we avoiding temptation. We feel as though we had been placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected. We have not even sworn off. Instead, the problem has been removed. It does not exist for us. We are neither cocky nor are we afraid. That is our experience. This is how we react so long as we keep in fit spiritual condition. It is easy to let up on spiritual program of action and reset on our laurels. We are headed for trouble if we do, for alcohol is a subtle foe. Excuse me. We are not cured of alcoholism. What we really have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. Every day is a day when we must carry the vision of God's will into all of our life. our activities. How can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. These are thoughts which must go with us constantly. We can exercise our willpower along this line. All we wish it is the proper use of the will. Much has already been said about receiving strength, inspiration, and direction for him who has all knowledge and power. If we have carefully followed direction, we have begun to sense the flow of His Spirit into us. To some extent, we have become God conscious. We have begun to develop this vital sixth sense, but we must go further, and that means more action. Step 11 suggests prayer and meditation. We shouldn't be shy on this matter of prayer. Better men than we are using it constantly. It works. If we have the proper attitude and work at it, it would be easy to be vague about this matter. Yet we believe we can make some definite and valuable suggestions. When we retire at night, we constructively review our day. We were resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid. Do we owe an apology? Have we kept something to ourselves which should be discussed with another person at once? Were we were we kind and loving towards all? What could we have done better? Were we thinking of ourselves most of the time? Or were we thinking of what we could do for others? Of what we could pack into the stream of life? But we must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection, for that would diminish our usefulness to others. After making our review, we ask God forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should be taken. On awakening, let us think about the 24th hour ahead, or 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day before we begin. We ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it will be dis- divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. Under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance, for after all God gave us brains to use. Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is cleared of wrong motives. In thinking about our day, we may face indecisions. We may not be able to determine which course to take. Here we are, or here we ask God for inspiration, an intrusive thought, or a decision. We relax and take it easy. We don't easy. We don't struggle. We are often surprised how the right answer come after we have tried this for a while. What used to be the hunt or the occasional inspiration gradually becomes a working part of the mind. Being still in experience and having just made conscious contact with God, excuse me, it is not probable that we are going to be inspired at all times. We might pay for ideas. Nevertheless, we find out our thinking will, as times pass, be more and more on the plane of inspiration. We, we come to rely upon it. Oh, trying really hard to finish this, guys. We usually conclude the period of meditation with a prayer that we be shown all through the day what our next step is to be. Then we be given whatever we need to take care of such problems. We ask especially for freedom from self-will and are careful to make no request for ourselves. Only we may ask for ourselves, however, if others will be helped. We are careful never to pray for our own selfish ends. Many of us have wasted a lot of time doing that, and it doesn't work. You can easily see why. If circumstances warrant, we ask our wives or friends to join us in the morning meditation if we belong to a religious denomination which requires a definite morning devotion. We attend to that also. If not members of religious bodies, we sometimes select and memorize a few set prayers which emphasize the principle we have been discussing. There are many helpful books also. Suggestions about these may be obtained from one's priest, minister, or rabbi. Be quick to see where religious people are right. Make use of what they offer. As we go through the day, we pause when agitated or doubtful and ask for the right thought or action. We constantly remind ourselves we are no longer running the show, humbly saying to ourselves many times each day, Thy will be done. We're in we are then in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. We become much more efficient. We do not tire so easily, for we are not burning up energy foolishly, as we did when we were trying to arrange life to suit ourselves. It works. It really does. We alcoholics are undisciplined, so we let God discipline us in the simple way we have just outlined. But this is not all. There is action and more action. Faith without works is dead. The next chapter is entirely devoted to step 12. Step 12 is a good one. And like this one says, it comes to you naturally after a while. Like I keep saying all the time, on my shoulder. Like I keep saying all the time. Um, it's easier to do when you have support and help. And that's what I find with the fellowship of AA. I don't go to meetings. I probably should go to one here and there, but I don't. I haven't felt the need to. But that's because I'm doing these meetings. However, I still do. Uh, I find things in my books that makes me go back and remember when I had that aha or a wow. Like I just did that without even thinking about, going and getting a drink. And that's the amazing thing. It truly does happen exactly that way. For me, um, Randy, I do see you there on Facebook. For some reason, this thing over here on my Chromebook isn't showing the chat. I don't know why, but I see you there. Um, anyways, um, so when I first got sober, even the first time I got sober, when I was sober for that year, I avoided everything that had anything to do with alcohol. And that happened for quite a while. I wouldn't even be around family members if they were drinking. I would avoid it. I would literally avoid them at all costs. But then, as I got longer and longer into my sobriety, I mean, it wasn't that long, but I did finally realize that I would go down a beverage aisle, and even when I first quit drinking, I could not go down those aisles. I had to like totally skip it. That part of the store was not existent to me. I know a lot of people that go through that, and I guess it's called the pink cloud or whatever. But yeah, it seriously happens. Um, you go into a store or a bar or whatever. I have been in a bar. I have been in more than one casino since I quit drinking. Um, I've been to meetups. There was alcohol, all kinds of alcohol, and my first meetup, um, the Oregon meetup. It was funny. So there's this guy that was there, and everybody's drinking, and it didn't bug me any. But this guy turned around with a big old bottle of Jack Daniels, and I was like, oh, no. I backed up. I was like, I'm not even going to, nope. I said, he asked if I wanted one, and I said, no, and please don't ask me again. So, but that's the way that I have learned that I can deal with situations like that is I can remove myself from that spot. I have an exit plan, in other words, as one of my other fellowship members of my group, my home group, always said, always have your exit plan. Never make it to where you're going to be stuck in a situation. Because yeah, it can get bad. It really can. But just knowing that I can now go through, and it's been a long time since I've been able to, but I don't talk about it because, it's not like a daily thing. I don't go in the grocery store every day, and I don't go around people that drink every day. So I really, when I do realize that I'm in that situation, I'm just like, okay. But when somebody wants to get mad because I don't want anything to do with you while you're drinking, it is upsetting. It makes me feel bad, like I've done something wrong, but I haven't. And I just pray for that person because I want that person to find what I've found in my sobriety and to know that they are important to people and people do love you and care about you and they worry about you. When you're in the alcohol drinking part of the addiction, it's hard to think that somebody actually cares. You know, all you can think about is your next drink, and you're not worried about who you're hurting on the other part. And in the reality of it, you're hurting yourself. That's the first thing. You're hurting yourself when you're drinking. Um, and I just pray that if you're new here, that the meetings are helping you and helping you realize that there is help out there. Um, but yeah, it's been. I've got. Let's see. This is August. So I've got September, October, and November. Um, so I've got probably about 2 whole months before I turn 10, and I'm pretty excited. And my sponsor turns 13, I think. Yeah, she turns 13 this year. I'm excited. I'm happy. I'm sober. It's a better life, a lot better of a life. Um, I'm glad I got sober. Completely glad. So I'm going to read the daily reflection and say the Serenity Prayer, and then you guys can have a blessed Sunday afternoon. So, August 25th, the gift of bonding. Relieve me of the bondage of self that I may better do thy will. Alcoholics Anonymous, page 63. Many times in my alcoholic state, I drank to establish a bond between myself and others, but I succeeded only in establishing the bondage of alcoholic loneliness. Through the AA, we through the AA way of life, I received the gift of bonding without those who were there before me, with those who are there now, and with those yet to come. For this gracious gift from God, I am forever grateful. Forever grateful. I will always be grateful. With that, let's go ahead and say the Serenity Prayer, and I'll let you guys go. I hope you have a wonderful Sunday and a good work week. I have 1 week until I start work, and I am nervous. But I have an interview on the 28th, so hopefully I can get a job that's closer at home. Anyways, I love you guys. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. Love you guys. Thank you for being here. Love ya.